Well, good morning and welcome into Studio AP. Cara Banks, happy to be sitting alongside Gary Williams and Charlie Reimer. It is Sunday, November 12th, Remembrance Day for some people across the country and the world, really, I should say, after Veterans Day yesterday. Been a very important weekend and we enjoyed honouring all those veterans yesterday. But I hope you've been able to get out and play some golf, guys. I have my mum in town this weekend. We went to play the member at the Ritz, competitive stuff, and then we crawled the property with Team Orange. I told them I'd give them a shout out.
Really?
It was a good weekend, yeah.
Very good. You practiced.
I've been hitting
so your hands are bleeding.
I've been hitting so many balls. I got tendonitis. Isn't that horrible? I got a compression sleeve with copper on it and all, and none of it works.
You're breaking down and you haven't started
I know,
yet.
it's unbelievable. So, yeah, nice day of practice yesterday. It's nice. The weather's cooled down here a little bit in Florida. It was beautiful. A little bit of rain yesterday, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
You're a proper athlete now.
Yes.
One that gets injuries and everything.
Yes, I am an athlete.
Let's hope they're not career-threatening injuries, Charlie. Let's reveal, though, what recently happened in the closing stages of the Nedbank Golf Challenge, the penultimate event of the European Tour season. We've just come off coverage from South Africa. Sun City is one of the most beautiful places you can go in the country if you want to play golf. But we will start with Hao Tong Lee, who got off to a great start today, Charlie. Birdied 5 of his first 6 holes, and then that on 12.
Yeah, you know, if you get some paint and put those marks down on the green like that, it's a lot easier to make the putt. You didn't know that, Carl.
No, he would shoot a 64, posted the clubhouse lead at 7 under. Now Scott Jamieson, 1-shot lead, but this short putt was for bogey.
A little bit of a cut stroke there, not his best, but I tell you what, I love watching him strike the golf ball this week. Beautiful golf swing.
Yeah, that would drop him out the lead with that double bogey. Brandon Grace putting for eagle at 14.
Yeah, these are always really big, important jump starters. If you can get that eagle to go in, that's great. But getting an easy birdie also is very helpful as well.
And that would tie him the lead with Victor Dubuisson. Now, Jamieson, birdie at 14.
Yeah, a little better stroke right there. No cut in that one.
Well, we now have a 3-way tie for the lead at 10 under par with 4 holes to play. Back to the Frenchman and a par putt at 15.
Yeah, always difficult going through your shadow, and always difficult when you're putting for par, trying to remain tied for the lead. Not his best stroke there.
Yeah, disappointing. He would fall back to 9 under. Meanwhile, Scott Jamieson on the tee at the par 3 16th from just over 210 yards.
Yeah, good golf swing. This one not his best result, though. Looked like he came out of that just a little bit. And he's going to get some help from one of those chalets over there. That ball actually came back down just behind that bunker. Pretty good break there.
Yeah, very good break. And he would go on to play quite an incredible recovery shot.
Yeah, this is a big old power flop. You got to open it up, make the big swing, sort of channel your best Phil Mickelson, and do it sort of like that. Really cool.
What a 2 that would have been. He would tap it in, though, and save par and remain tied for the lead at 10 under. Now a long birdie attempt from Grace.
When Brandon Grace looks back on this win, I believe this is the putt that he's going to remember as the one that gave him this trophy.
Yeah, he sunk that to get to 11 under. Now let's move ahead to his approach at 18, Charlie.
Well, all he's got to do with a 1-stroke lead is put this ball safely in the middle of the green. He's not looking at a flagstick at all. He just wants it on a putting surface. 25, 30 feet from the hole. Very, very good golf shot.
Yeah, and plenty of space to 2-putt from there. Pretty good first, but he literally just left himself a matter of inches to tap in for his 8th European Tour win. And would you believe that he becomes the first South African winner in Sun City in some 10 years? So it was a 1-shot victory for the 29-year-old. Notably, Tommy Fleetwood, who is the current Race to Dubai leader, ended up finishing in 10th place at 3 under overall, so increasing his gap slightly over Justin Rose, who was not in the field this week. But what a performance that was from Brandon Grace today, Charlie. He hit all 18 greens in regulation. What does that tell you about the form he had today?
Well, I was just telling Gary before our show started a couple of my favorite swings. I love Oosthuizen and I love Brandon Grace. I love their impact position. Absolutely wonderful. And for Brandon Grace to win this event hosted by Gary Player on his home soil has to be very, very meaningful. And when I look at the win, we talked about the birdie putt that he made at 16, but I want to go back and look at his tee shot at 18, because when you get in a big high pressure situation and you stand up and you got to put the ball in the fairway, you got to have a good game plan. And he went with the long iron there, and you can just see this ball. It worked from right center to left center, and he's got this wonderful ball flight. It's very low. I love a low ball flight. The reason I like it is because if you get offline, you don't hit houses or go in jungles. You just sort of get in the rough. But that tee ball right there, he went at it pretty hard, but that low little trap, that's a great, great golf shot to have, sort of a stinger. And then we saw this in the highlights. This is where you you aim at the middle part of the green. You want to get the biggest target. He's not looking at that flag stick at all, believe me. And that's just, those shots right there, when you get in big situations and you have a chance to win and you have a game plan and you stand up there, Gary, and you execute, man, is that meaningful. That's just something that you can go back to 6 months down the road, 18 months down the road when you're struggling a little bit with your golf game. Go back and look at those and say, hey, I'm capable of doing this. That's high quality golf right there. When you're feeling the most pressure, and that's very, very meaningful.
It's meaningful, and like you said, it's impressive. I don't think his world ranking is representative of where he sits in the hierarchy of the tallest part of the game. He's 44th. He was as high as 10th. I think he should be always entrenched in the top 20. He's that good. He has 4 top 5s in majors. Yeah, and shot 62 in a major.
He's projected now, he sure did, to move inside the top 30 in the official World Golf Rankings with this win. But I understand what you mean. Having said that, he hasn't won in over a year.
Which surprises me.
Right. His last win came, his only one on the PGA Tour at the RBC Heritage. He won also earlier last year in Qatar on the European Tour. But he was an absolute stud a couple of years ago. I think it was 2015 when he won 4 times on the European Tour.
He was right there with Spieth until he hit a foul ball late in the tournament.
Yeah, Chambers Bay.
Yeah.
It's good to see him back to winning ways. The thing is, he can contend when he needs to. He's a feisty, gritty player, and it's really cool as well to see and to have listened to those home crowds get behind a South African player.
With Gary Player watching, that's pretty good, Charlie.
It is really, really good. There's no doubt about that. But let's head over here and watch and learn a little bit right now, Gary. Saw some really cool golf out there today on what is a really neat-looking golf course, and one that I certainly got on my bucket list. I've never been to South Africa. I'd like to go sometime. I'd like to pay a visit to this golf course. But let's start with the Schwartzel, Gary. This is a shot that when you look at it, you go, hey, you know what, it's no big deal, but it's sort of hard to pick up. He's playing on a little bit of a downhill lie. The ball's sitting down a little bit, and he does a really nice job of getting some width and then sort of leaning into it to lower that left shoulder a little bit. And this is something that amateurs don't do. You've got to set up properly when you've got an uneven lie. Go ahead and roll it. I think you're going to like the result here, Gary. Really super nice contact. But if you don't get set up properly to play a shot like that, no, that's fine. I'm the grader here.
Okay, yeah. I'm just pointing it out.
It was a good. I'll give him A-.
Okay.
So, but you got to get set up properly. Talk about having a game plan, execution. The Keimer. This is a short bunker shot. Okay, so we got a hole over here. So what he's got to do is he's got to get that ball elevated, and you can see again in his setup, this club face is absolutely wide open. Amateurs typically do not get that club face enough wide open, and he creates a little bit of an angle by getting some break going up and back. So those two things help him hit a perfect golf shot. Go ahead and roll it. So he gets sort of up and back. He leaves that club face wide open. It was short-sided. Now I'll give you that. That was going in a little bit fast. I'm going to give that maybe a C+, but great technique. And
finally,
the Porteous.
This is not one you practice.
No, it's not. And here's what's cool about this. I'm going to take just a little bit of time. So he's not on a rock. That's a retaining wall, and there's a little patch of sand that's on top of that retaining wall before you get to the grass. He was fortunate his ball got there. So a normal setup for a bunker shot, you got the ball forward. That really helps you get the club in and underneath the golf ball. Well, he can't get it forward because he'd be in the lake if he got in that position. So he's got the ball back in his stance. And so what he's got to do there is get really creative. And he was taking some practice swings before he hit this. Back in the stance, you got to just sort of break up like this. That's the only way that he has a chance to hit this ball properly. Go ahead and roll it. You can see he makes that quick break. It's very steep because that's off his right toe. And just does a phenomenal job of playing a very creative shot, something that you wouldn't practice under normal circumstances. But he looked at the shot, thought about what's required. Okay, how do I do that? How do I get in there? Something like Seve-like, getting in there, just sort of making it up as you go along. I love when you get a chance to see shots like that.
Yeah, no question about it. Very good watch and learn. Will you say good morning to somebody who found me flat on my back in the lobby this morning?
Oh,
Lauren
Gary,
Thompson.
you feeling all right? How's that bump in your head?
I'm not clumsy. I slipped.
Okay. He's okay.
I'm fine.
He's tough, isn't he? Well, from the Porteous, the Keimer, the Schwartzel to the Fowler. How about him in Mexico this morning? We've got an update for you on Ricky's scores at the OHL Classic at Mayakoba. So stick around. Much more to go on Morning Drive. Glad to have you with us on this Sunday.